got the camera adjusted high enough for me?
I do.
Okay, just making sure.
Maxed up.
Sweet. All right, hello everyone. As Rob has said, I am Sam. For those of you I know, good to see you. For those of you that I don't know, hopefully we get a chance to talk afterwards. But I'm really excited when Rob asked me to do this, which was, heck, it was a while ago now. It might have been over winter break. He pitched the idea to me of just being able to be here. And of course, really grateful. You've probably kind of seen me here on and off. Obviously, when I'm here, I do stick out a little bit, so you probably notice. But it's been a lot of back and forth. I started coming here during summer of 2020, and obviously that was right after all the COVID stuff. But I had just started college at the time, so I'd be here for a couple months, and then I'd head off to school, and then I'd be here for a little while, and then I'd head off to school again, and then I'd be here for a little while and go back to school. So it's been a lot of on and off. I've really enjoyed my times here, but grateful for the opportunity to be here today and just get the chance to be with everyone. I've been really appreciative of Harbour Shores and what Harbour Shores has been for me, just this community of the people that I have gotten the chance to know, what a blessing it's been, and just the way that this church and this family has poured into me. So with that being said, today, as we can tell, it is our title for the message is Message from the Mound, which, Rob, I will say, I think you missed a softball there on a Sermon from the Mound. So I think that one would have worked well, but we'll go with Message from the Mound today. So I'm just going to be walking through a little bit of my experience as a college baseball player. So you guys will get to hear kind of some of my story with that, how my whole college experience went, with the ups and the downs, the good and the bad, and how through that experience I was able to grow in my faith, learn some good lessons about what it means to be a Christian and live the Christian life, and hopefully be able to pass some of those lessons and that wisdom on to you guys as well as share some of the areas in my life where I've lived out these lessons well, where I've learned from it, and really embodied the wisdom that I've been able to learn, and also the times that it's been a struggle for me. So to get started, I'm wearing my Tennessee stuff today. This was where my college journey began. Tennessee's currently in the College World Series right now. I'm not mad that I'm not there. So started out at University of Tennessee. I was a right-handed pitcher when I played. Tennessee was kind of the dream school for me. I'd committed at the beginning of my junior year of college, or junior year of high school, and made the decision that I was going to go there. It's obviously a big change, out of state. My family's been here my whole life. I've always grown up in Cicero. So taking that step, but I mean, it's SEC baseball. This is big time. It's a big school. This is the place you want to be. Great opportunity. I was pumped to go there. Got there, and it was a really good experience. I enjoyed my time there, but it only lasted for a year. So got there in the summer of 2019. Was there through the spring, and it was around Thanksgiving, winter break-ish, that I had realized that this might not be the place for me. So I'd really gone in as a baseball player, but I had to pick something for school. One of the old Ohio State quarterbacks, he had a famous tweet. He said, "I'm here to play football, not here to play school." And that was a little bit how I felt about my time at Tennessee. I was not there to play school. I was there to play baseball. But nonetheless, had to pick something. So I was looking through the list of majors, and you know what? Sports management. That's got sports in the name. I like sports. I'll give it a shot. So I went in as a sports management major, and like I said, by the time my first semester was done, I was like, nope, I cannot do this. This is not it for me. We got mandatory study halls, mandatory tutoring. I'm doing my homework. I'm taking tests. I'm like, if I'm going to be doing all this stuff, I want it to be something that I enjoy, something that I'm passionate about, something that I can really, devote myself to. And I don't want to just do this for my time in college. I want to be able to do this for the rest of my life. So this began this experience for me of thinking through, talking with people, praying. For those of you who know Josh Lovett, I remember sitting with him at Steak and Shake over Thanksgiving break and just talking to him like, man, I don't think I want to do what I'm doing right now. So we walked through this whole process of thinking, okay, there's two things I'm looking for. What is it that I find purpose in, and what is it that I'm going to be passionate about? So through this whole process, we're thinking, talking, it takes me time to think through all this stuff, but eventually I come to the conclusion, I want to talk to people about Jesus. I want to be able to share Jesus with people. What greater purpose could I have than to devote myself to talking about the Lord and sharing the Lord with people who need to hear about the Lord? And what greater passion than to go and talk about Christ? So that was the very beginning of me realizing that maybe Tennessee wasn't the route that I wanted. This was the dream school for me. This was the dream place to play baseball, but maybe this wasn't the right fit. Now, at the same time, I didn't have the courage to actually pull the trigger and make a change. I love it here. Baseball is good. I want to be here. This is the big opportunity and the thing that I've dreamed of. That was the place I wanted to be. This was the big school. So I'm like, what, I'll stick it out for the spring. And as everyone knows, spring of 2020 rolls around and things change a lot. So we got about 15 games into the season. I was redshirting that year anyway. We got about 15 games into the season, and the team was ready to load up the bus to head to South Carolina for the first SEC road trip. And as we were loading up the bus, we get the call from the NCAA. Okay, we don't really know what's going on with COVID, but this thing's causing some problems, and we're gonna have to shut things down. We can't let you guys travel. So at first we're just put on hold. We're like, okay, we're playing a waiting game now. Where's this gonna go? What are we gonna do? So we give it a couple days, and we're seeing, everything's going on. So businesses are shutting down. We've got other sports leagues shutting down. Travel's being cut off. Each day you read the headlines, something new is going on. So then give it a couple more days, and we get the call. Season's done. School's closing down. We can't do this anymore. So the big change with college baseball in that was that all the people who were supposed to graduate got another year of eligibility. So we had another year of seniors back. The MLB draft went from 40 rounds down to 5 rounds. So that is 35 rounds of people who were back in college for another year. And we were supposed to have guys who were coming in as freshmen next year who were going to get drafted who ended up coming onto campus. So the fall that I was there, we had 50 people on the team, and it was a 35-man roster. So that meant 15 people were either injured or redshirting for another reason, or we're going to have to transfer. And we were looking at having somewhere in the 60 to 70 range for the following fall. I was like, there's no way that I'm going to be playing. So I got a call from Coach Vitello at some point in April, and he was like, hey, Sam, we don't exactly know what's going on with COVID. We don't know what the rules from the MLB are going to be, what the rules from the NCAA are going to be. But we do know that we've kind of got a plan that we've tried to outline going forward, and it looks like you're not really going to be a part of it. So that was where the big change came in, and the change I had been thinking about got confirmed right there. It would have been easy for me to sit there and be disappointed that things didn't work out, but at the end of the day, it truly was the Lord working to direct me somewhere different. So I went through this whole process, summer of 2020, trying to find a new school to go to. The goal at first was go somewhere that I could study ministry, and that I could call home for the rest of my college experience. So I was making phone calls, I was talking to schools, talking to different coaches, meeting with academic advisors to see what they could offer for me, and none of these places felt like it was going to be a school that I could call home. And like I said, I'm going through the transfer process once, didn't really want to do it again, so I wanted to make sure that the school I got was the right one, but nothing felt like the right one. So I ended up going to junior college for a year. So there's the next one. There's me at Chattanooga State. So staying in East Tennessee, moving south a little bit down I-75. And I was at Chattanooga State, and I knew that one was going to be a temporary stop. That was just 1 year. I was going to go there. I was going to get my associate's degree, and I was going to move on and kind of go through that whole recruiting process again, see if I couldn't find a place that was going to be home. Not a ton of stories to tell from this school. Like I said, I knew it was going to be a temporary stop. It was a mediocre at best experience. So we'll skip over this part. So I finished my year there, get my associate's degree, and now I'm looking for the place to go. So go through this whole process again, meet with a couple schools, and where we settle on was Lee University. Lee University is also in East Tennessee, so I had a theme going here. And Lee is a Christian school. I don't know if anyone's familiar with it. I always tell people if it was just for baseball, I wouldn't have gone there. There were better opportunities that I had baseball-wise, and if it was just for ministry, I wouldn't have gone there. Lee is a Pentecostal school, much love to my Church of God brothers and sisters, but I'm not Pentecostal. So it was definitely a different experience. It was a good one, but it was the best fit for both baseball and for ministry. So it was kind of the best of both worlds, best opportunity where I'd have to be able to do both of those things. And it turned out to be a really good experience. But at the same time, I'm jumping around a lot, and it wasn't the easiest thing. I was at year number 3 of college, and I was at school number 3 in college. So each year, you go and you make community, you make friends, and then you go and leave. And then you go and you make community and you make friends, you get close with your teammates, and then you leave. So things had not been necessarily easy for me. I went into Lee with a lot of nerves. I was kind of a wreck when I first got there, and I'll get back to that story later. Once I get to kind of the end of this. But yeah, I finished out my college time at Lee. I played 2 years of baseball there. It was really great. Definitely the best fit for me. Some awesome teammates. Awesome. I'm really appreciative for our coach there, for Coach Brew. He, even more so apart from the baseball stuff itself. So every coach gives you the sales pitch when you're on the recruiting visit. They're like, we're here to invest more than just you as a baseball player. We want to invest in you as a young man, as a student, as a future husband, a future father, things like that. And most of the time, the coaches just kind of say that on the recruiting visit to make mom happy. They're like, oh, don't worry, we'll take care of your baby. It'll be fine. Coach Brewer actually meant that. And out of the 3 schools I was at, he was the one who embodied that the most. So he poured into his guys. He cared about us. He cared about our spiritual life, our walk with the Lord, which was, I'm incredibly grateful for, that being at a Christian school, he was able to fully lean into that, and he embraced the opportunity to do so. So it was a really great joy and a blessing and a privilege to be there. I ended up taking 5 years for college. So switching majors and switching schools does not make the process any easier or any more smooth. So I took an extra year. This past year, I decided not to play baseball. I just wanted to dive in on the ministry side of things, be able to be more involved in church, be able to be more involved in crew. I really enjoyed my time playing college baseball. I learned a lot from it, but finished out and graduated this spring. So that's kind of just a rundown of my college story. So with that, I want to be able to share a couple lessons that I have learned from that. So the first one from just the general college experience. First lesson is that God is consistent even when it feels like nothing else is. So like I mentioned, 3 schools in 3 years. Everything just felt like it was changing. There was nothing that I couldn't get any consistency. During this time as well, my family had moved from Cicero down to Tennessee. So what was home for me didn't really feel like home. I did spend a lot of time coming back up here. I was playing summer baseball up here in Indiana, which was great. It did give things a lot more of a home feel for me. But everything was changing around. I go to this different place down at school, and then when I come home, it's also a different place. And then right when I start to settle in at school, I change and go to a different place. So through and through, just learning to trust in God and His consistency. So another piece of this is that it wasn't until my senior year of high school that I truly became a believer. I was raised in the church, grew up in church, raised in a Christian household, but it wasn't until my senior year that I truly came to understand the gospel, to see myself as a sinner, to trust Christ. So it was big in teaching me to understand who God is and what it means to truly walk with the Lord. So just understanding that God is consistent even when it feels like nothing else is. So that leads us to this, Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge Him, and He will make straight your paths. So just being able to remember this, that no matter what's going on, no matter what changes, I was experiencing, we talked about curveballs before this, and that's a reality of life. Things are going to change. Things are going to be unexpected. There's going to be a lot of inconsistency, and it's going to seem like, things are just on shaky ground. But the reality is that we can trust in the Lord. We can trust in the Lord with all of our heart, and it's not about our ability to trust in ourselves, to lean on our own understanding, to trust in our circumstances. That is not where we find consistency. That is not where we are to get anchored. But in trusting the Lord, all of our paths will be straight, and we can trust in that. And that was just something that I needed to learn and understand. That it did not feel like my path was straight at all. It felt like a lot of zigzags, a lot of curves, just a lot of unknown things. But even when life gets really inconsistent, we can trust in the consistency and faithfulness of the Lord. So that was lesson number one. Lesson number two, just a general thing from college baseball, is how to be a team player. And this is life advice. Everyone harps on how great team sports are, and this is really why, is that the beauty of team sports is it teaches you things beyond the sport itself. So the verses I have here is from 1 Corinthians 12, which is talking about the body of Christ and this imagery of being a body. It says, the eye cannot say to the hand, I have no need of you, nor again the head to the feet, I have no need of you. On the contrary, the parts of the body that seem to be weaker are indispensable, and on those parts of the body that we think less honorable, we bestow the greater honor. And our unpresentable parts are treated with greater modesty, which our more presentable parts do not require. But God has so composed the body, giving greater honor to the part that lacked it, that there may be no division in the body, but that the members may have the same care for one another. If one member suffers, all suffer together. If one member is honored, all rejoice together. I really want to hone in on that last sentence there, because I think that's one of the huge lessons you learn from playing team sports. Baseball is one of those sports that one guy cannot carry a team. If anyone's familiar with the MLB, one of the best players of the past decade is Mike Trout. He's been to the playoffs once. Their team, the Los Angeles Angels, has been horrible, just a terrible team. So they had him, who was best player in the league for about 10 years straight. Before this year, they had Shohei Ohtani, who was another one of the best players in the league. So realistically, they were trotting out the two best players in the whole league night after night, and it wasn't even enough to get them in the playoffs. It truly is a team sport. It takes everybody. So to understand this idea that if one member suffers, all suffer together, if one member is honored, all rejoice together, you need to rely on your team. It's one of the key lessons of baseball. It's one of the key lessons of life, that you need to know how to rely on your teammates. So if one person suffers, we suffer with them. If someone's doing bad, we're right there to be by their side and understand, hey, this is a rough patch, you're in a slump right now, but what we're going to do as teammates is we're going to come alongside you and we're going to pick you up. If one guy goes up there and he's got a runner on third base, one out, he goes up there and strikes out and doesn't get the runner in, the next guy's got to step up and the next guy's got to find a way to get a base hit and get that runner in. It really is a game. I mean, people say baseball is a game of failure. You go out there and the greatest hitters of all time are the ones who fail 7 times out of 10. And so it is a game of failure, and you have to learn how to play as a team because people are going to mess up. How do you come alongside somebody and be there for them when they mess up? In the same way, if one is honored, all rejoice together. There are going to be games, I experienced this as a pitcher, where I'd go out there and I just would not have it that day. I'd be out of the game halfway through the 4th inning. I would have given up 6 runs, and it was just an absolute mess. But the second half of the game, team goes out there and they rally and they battle back and put up some runs, and we find a way to win the game. So we're all rejoicing together because of what the offense was able to do around us. So in the same way, you got to learn to rely on your teammates, to trust in your guys, and just be able to look at the way that this happens as a unit. So obviously, how does this transfer to life? Well, this is talking about the church. In the same way, this is going to be something that we need to learn as we walk through life as a part of the church. There are going to be times that we have brothers and sisters who need us to come alongside them and pick them up. People are going to have failures, and we need to have grace upon that and be there for them, to strengthen them, to encourage them, to remind them of the gospel over and over. And in the same time, there are going to be times that there's great and wonderful successes. There's going to be joys in the church. Someone's going to get married, and we all come and celebrate together. Someone's going to have a baby. Someone's going to get a promotion. Whatever it may be, there's all sorts of exciting things that go on in the church. So there's both the good and the bad, and this is something that we get to walk through together. You hear the phrase thrown around a lot that it's about the Christianity is about a personal relationship with Jesus. And there's a degree in which that's definitely true. But the reality is that our Christian faith is not supposed to be personal at all. It's supposed to be corporate. It's something that we do together. Obviously, it starts with a relationship between us and the Lord, but it is lived out in a relationship with one another. So just making sure that we understand what it's like to be a part of this team, that this is our team that we get to go through life with, that we get to play this wonderful ball game of life together and walk through that. And it truly is, it is a joy. And in the same way that we can look at whatever your sport may be. If you're a football fan, if you're a basketball fan, if you're a baseball fan, whatever that may be, look at that and you can learn so much about your time playing that sport, about your time watching that sport, as just what it means to walk through life as a team with one another. So with that, there is just an encouragement that I give you all to cherish your brothers and sisters. That look around this room, this great group of men that we have, and these are the people that you're going to be taking the field with every day. That these are the people that you're going to be going to battle with, and they're going to be at your right side and your left side. And these are the guys that you get to walk through life together with. And in the same way that in the baseball field we get to push each other and challenge each other and encourage each other, and also be there to pick each other up when we fail, let that be the same way that we embrace the Christian life, is that we can push each other, we can encourage each other, we can challenge each other, and we can be there to pick each other up when we fail. And then, just as kind of a joy that I got to experience, as a combination between my time in college in general and specifically playing baseball, is that the church is a blessing. So I talked about the consistency of God, and this is one of the greatest ways that I was able to see God's consistency play out in my life. So just being able to have the joy of knowing that no matter where I was at, God's people were going to be there too. Whether that was the people that I could rely on whenever I came home, whenever I got to come back to Indiana and be embraced and welcomed here at Harbour Shores, or knowing that there was always going to be a church there to welcome me and a wonderful family. And one of the other huge blessings was Crew. For some of you might know it as Campus Crusade, college ministry that I was blessed to be a part of through every one of my schools. So I went and started at Tennessee. The very first week, I went and found a church, and praise the Lord, I understand how difficult the church search process can be sometimes. The first church I went to was the one I stuck with. So just being able to make that move, make that change, and from the very first Sunday that I was there, be welcomed in with God's people. Things changed. Went to Chattanooga, and it took me a few weeks. I probably went through 5 or 6 churches before I settled on one. Got plugged in there, and they were an absolute blessing. I was able to help out and lead some of the youth events there, and just be a part of that family, and that was an absolute joy. Then I went to Lee, was in Cleveland, Tennessee, and that one took me a lot longer. So I was able to see kind of the difficulty of not having a good church body. Again, Lee is a Pentecostal school in the heart of a very, very Pentecostal city. It is the area that the Church of God as a denomination was started. Church of God International headquarters is there. Church of God of Prophecy headquarters is there. Lee's the Church of God school. It is Church of God town through and through. And like I said, much love, but I am not Pentecostal. So it took me a lot longer to find a church there. And after about a year and a half, I was able to get settled in to a church for a little while. And then I ended up doing a church internship following summer, and got plugged in with that church, and was just able to see the wonderful blessing and joy that the church is, and just how they can be such a wonderful picture of the things that we experience in Christ. That consistency that we know that Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. We can see that in the church, not because the church is perfect, but because the church is loved by a perfect God. Mm-hmm. And Amen. So to be able to be a part of that and understand that God's people would be there to welcome me no matter where I was. So my encouragement with this is just to press into Christian community. These people will have your back no matter what, and they will be there. When you feel like you're just on sinking sand and need a rocky foundation, allow the church to just embody Christ to you and present that in a way that you can just be loved and honored. And not just so that the church can serve you, but be a part of the church. Go and serve. You never know when that person who's showing up on a Sunday morning is someone who's been through a lot of change and needs that mark of consistency and needs to just be welcomed and embraced and understand, hey, maybe I've just left my community and my church and my friends and family behind, and I'm in some place new, and this is an opportunity for us to be family to them. So the church really is a blessing. And just seeing the way that God has worked through the church has been wonderful. It's a huge part of my desire. So now that I'm graduated, my plan going forward is to join staff with Crew. So like I said, Crew was a big piece. Each college campus that I was at, Crew was there, and that was a way to dive in with other college students who are Christians and find wonderful community. And Crew is such a huge blessing on me and my growth as a new Christian, to just be discipled, grow, and now I have the opportunity to join staff with Crew. So that's going to be my plan going forward, is that. And this kind of moves me into the failures and successes part of things. So for Crew, I've been placed in Salt Lake City. So I'm sure a lot of you are well familiar just because of the partnership with Tri Grace Ministries and some of the mission trips that this church has sent out there to Utah. Obviously, it is a very, very Mormon place. So it'll definitely be interesting going from Tennessee down in the Bible Belt to a place that's at best maybe 10 to 15% Christian. And just being there and experiencing that. But one of the true blessings of the college experience is that I have been able to learn that God is consistent even when it feels like nothing else is. My college experience has taken me through a lot of change, a lot of leaving things behind and starting things new. And it's given me the opportunity to feel very comfortable making this transition from being here in this side of the country, going out west. I'll be going out there alone. There's no family or friends coming with me. It'll be a big change, but I really do feel like through a lot of what I've experienced in college, the Lord has done a wonderful work in preparing me to embrace this, and just get to go out there with complete trust and confidence in God and what He has done and what He is doing and what He will continue to do. Then on the flip side of things is kind of the areas that I failed in this. Like I said earlier, my time at Lee was rough at the beginning. I can remember vividly just nights on the phone with my parents where I was in tears and I was nervous. I was scared. I was like, I'm making this decision. I'm gonna have to leave this all behind again. I'm nervous to make friends because I don't want to leave them. I'm nervous to get to dive in with this team because I don't want to have another change. I was on the phone crying with my mom and dad and telling them, like, I think I need to be done with baseball and I think I need to be done with college. I just don't think this is the thing for me. And I was nervous. So I'd go on the first day that I moved into Lee, I ended up getting diagnosed with COVID. So tested positive for COVID, had to go back home for 10 days, do the whole quarantine thing. So I missed the whole welcome week at school. I missed the whole introductions with the baseball team. I walked in there, I was starting out from behind. Everything was just hectic. It was a mess, and I was like, "There's no way. This is such a bad start. Where I need this to work out." So I was just a mess. Starting behind, felt like I didn't know anyone, hadn't met anyone, afraid to go and meet anyone, and just afraid that things weren't going to work out again, and that it was just going to be another failed try. And that was really where my attitude was at the time. Was just nervous, did not have trust. I remember just a lot of prayers where I was angry and frustrated with God. I was wondering, like, why this route? Why not just the easy way? But I can look back and say that each step of the way has prepared me for something, and that's been one of the greatest joys, is to be able to see the growth from being there on the phone, my mom and dad crying, thinking that I was going to be done with school and done with baseball. To looking back and seeing how my time at Tennessee, my time at Chattanooga State, my time at Lee, all of it worked together for what God is leading me to. And had I dropped out then, I wouldn't be able to go and do what God has me to do now. So just incredibly grateful for that, and just what that experience has been and meant to me. And I'll wrap things up with one more story here, and then we'll do some time for Q&A if anyone has some questions for me. But going back to kind of the whole, doing this life as a team in the church, I recently had the privilege to preach a sermon on Philippians 1:27 through 2:11, and it wasn't to a congregation. I've been doing some practice preaching with the pastor at my parents' church down in Tennessee, and I opened with this introduction and this illustration. So we used to have a guy on our team who's Canadian guy, absolute goofball, funny dude. I only got to play with him for a year, but he was awesome. And every time we were down late in the game, or it was like a tie game, and we're going to the last inning, he'd always come into the dugout and fire up the guys. All right, who's gonna be the guy before the guy? Okay, who's gonna be the guy before the guy? Someone step up and be the guy before the guy. So this whole thing presents us with two people. We've got the guy, and we've got the guy before the guy. So there's two people at play here, and everyone wants to be the guy. The guy is the one who steps up there and he's got a runner at second base, 2 outs, it's a tie game, bottom of the ninth, and he goes up there, boom, he hits a line drive into the gap, we walk it off, we win, everyone's screaming and cheering. They're dumping Gatorade on his head. You know, he's got his picture in the paper, in the sports column, videos all over the team Twitter, it's getting retweeted like crazy. You know, everyone's celebrating this guy. Post-game interview, all of it. But realistically, you know, and as much as everyone wants to be that guy doesn't happen without that guy on second base. And who is that guy on second base? Well, that's the guy who went up there and he worked a 9-pitch walk, fouled off pitch after pitch, battled, found a way to get on base. You know, he goes up there and he might lay down just a perfect bunt down the third baseline and find a way to get on. Maybe he goes up there and he chases off an 0-2 slider and just hits a little blooper over the shortstop's head, and he gets on base. There's no glory for that guy. Nobody remembers him at the end of the game, and nobody remembers him at the end of the season when they're talking about the highlights of the season. But he played his part, and he was just as fundamental in that win as the guy who hit the walk-off hit. We need the guy before the guy. So everyone wants to go out there and play hero ball, but someone's got to set the other guy up. And this was such a good illustration for this sermon, because the sermon talks about imitating Christ's humility, that you should count others, as greater than yourself. And this is really the way that we should embody our Christian life and the life of the church, is that we need to be a lot more willing to be the guy before the guy, to go up there and do the hard work, the thing that might not be glorious, might not be pretty, but still is just a wonderful blessing to the other people, and allows your brothers and sisters in the church to thrive and to succeed. And to just be willing to humble ourselves and give the opportunity to have honor given to someone else. And I think that was one of the coolest things, is that, we just got this goofy Canadian guy in the dugout who's out there, saying the stupid saying. And most of the time, whenever he'd say it, we'd all be like, oh gosh, this guy again, But no, and now here I am, a couple years later, and that stuff sticks with me as something bigger than the game of baseball. But really just rings true that the church needs a lot more people to be the guy before the guy. So there's a lot of more stuff that I could talk about, a lot of lessons. We were reading through that paper before, and my head was just spinning with all these baseball life analogies. They're everywhere. I could make a million of them, but I'll leave it at that and just open it up for any questions that anyone has. What were my statistics? Oh, that was an up and down. If you want to talk about another life lesson, I had good years and I had bad years. Like I said, I was a redshirt when I was a freshman at Tennessee, so no statistics. I had a really good year at Chattanooga State, which I had like a 2.5 ERA, so it's solid as a starter. Went to Lee, had a really good first year, and a really bad second year. So a lot of up and down. One thing I did really well during my time in college, I threw strikes. So I did not walk a lot of guys, which is something I can hang my hat on. If they were going to beat me, they had to earn it. So.
What are you most nervous about heading out to Seattle?
Salt Lake.
Yeah.
No worries. That's a great question. There was definitely a period of time that I would have said just finding community and finding friends. It's cool. It's been cool to see the way that the Lord has already worked in that I feel like everyone I talk to is just like, oh, I know someone out there. I'll get you in touch. So what was looking like just a really big world and me being, small fish swimming in a big pond is gotten a lot smaller and smaller. So that was definitely the initial answer. Now at this point, I'm definitely gonna miss family and miss friends. So even though I know that I'll meet new people and find good community out there, I'll still miss the people from back over here, for sure. So, what do you got? There it is. The golden.
He stole my question.
Okay, I'm 6'10". That's how tall I am. So the basketball thing. I stopped playing basketball as a sophomore in high school. Have I thought about it? Not really since, I hadn't thought about it until college sports made a NIL a thing.
Yeah.
And then I realized people get paid for being college athletes, and then I thought, maybe I took the wrong route. Basketball's more of a money sport. Maybe I should have done that.
In college it is?
Huh?
In college, basketball is more of a money sport than baseball?
Oh yeah.
Because it's almost reversed in pros. I mean, you know, look at the pros,
Yeah.
what they're making for baseball.
There's just a lot more viewership for college basketball. You know, those players are known a lot
Gotcha.
better. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Here's a different question. You know, a lot of young men see sports and it's fun and they do it, but the reality of making that a career is very, very low. But then you make the transition in your mind of pursuing that which you're passionate about and which you want to do to full-time ministry. Why not just, be part of the church and do teaching, but be part of the professional world and have this be kind of like your side thing as opposed to a professional career? What's your thought of what made that switch for you? Why pursue this with everything and make it a full-time thing?
Yeah, you know, it's funny, you talk to pastors and ask them what their advice is for young ministers, and I've heard this more times than I can count. They always say, if you can do anything else, do it, which is weird and horrifying advice, you know, that like, hey man, I really hope that I'm, you know, doing what you're doing one day, and they're like, turn around and run if you can. Whoa, you know? What's your advice? Get out. So, yeah, but no, like I said, that was a big part of what I wrestled with my freshman year of college, is what is it that I can do? And I just don't see myself doing anything else. There's nothing else that I feel like, you know, I will have purpose doing, and have a passion to do. That, you know, sure, I could go get a job in something else, but you know, that's going to be one of those deals where each day just feels like I'm grinding through and just running through the rat race and everything like that. You know, so far, and you know, I'm not in it yet, but so far, you know, all my experience with ministry has just been a joy. You know, wake up and it's a blessing to get to go and do that. And it feels natural. It feels not easy in a sense of, you know, there's no problems or challenges, but in the sense of finding the motivation to want to do it each day, so much easier than finding the motivation to go and, you know, chase whatever other thing it was. So that's really why is just, you know, everyone warns me, if you can do something else, do it. And there's nothing else I can see myself doing.
So what do you have to do now as far as getting to Utah? What's on the plate?
Yeah, timeline for that. So on Monday, I leave for Orlando. So crew headquarters is in Orlando. I'll be down there for a month. It'll be 2 weeks of taking classes, 2 weeks of new staff orientation. So I'll get back from there on July 14th. And then my full-time job at that point will be ministry partner development. So it'll just be hitting hard on the raising support, and my timeline to get out to Salt Lake City just depends on when I hit my baseline for being funded. So I mean, I've been told, so there's 2 team leaders out there in Utah right now. One of them said it took them about 6 months. One said it took them 2 years. So hopefully not in the 2-year category for me. I'd like to be out on campus as soon as I could, but then as soon as I'm funded, get out there on campus and begin doing ministry. So it's kind of the timeline
So
for
now
me.
you'll be on the recruiting end.
Yeah.
instead of the
Yep.
recruiting.
I'll be on the recruiting end.
Yeah.
I see your hand.
Well, I think you answered it. I was curious if you were doing campus ministry or athletes in action.
Yeah, it'll be campus ministry. So Utah currently, it's primarily at University of Utah. There's some other small colleges in the area that will do ministry at too, but there's currently not an athletes in action movement out there. So I would like to be able to kind of reach into some of the athletics there too. My official position will be with just campus ministry. But as much as I can reach the athletes and just use this as a bridge to help, you know, understand what they've been through. Like I said, I've kind of been at the highs and lows of what it means to be a college athlete. So to be able to kind of share some of that experience and walk with them and help direct them to the Lord in that, you know, I'll definitely take advantage of that. But my position will be with just regular campus ministry.
What was your, as you were getting ready to prepare for a game, what was your mindset? How did you prepare your mind to get ready for a game?
Yeah, as best you could, just push everything else out. It's one focus and one goal at that point. You know, and one of the biggest key things with baseball is, you know, you go and you practice a lot. And again, this is a life lesson too. But you go and practice a lot, and you prepare a lot, and you make adjustments and all these things. When you get ready to go and play in a game, all that stuff goes to the side. You just step out there, and there's this quote that says, "You don't rise to the occasion, you sink to the level of your training." And it's a little bit that you just trust that you've prepared enough that you go out there, you throw everything to the wayside, and it's go time now. So whatever I've got today is what I've got, and we're going to go out there and make the most with it. So a lot of it is just pushing everything out, getting focused on that one goal, that you got to quiet everything else and go out there to just make things happen.
So Sam, I remember at a smaller Christian college, and then since then, I heard from several different people, including friends, that you know, whether it's the busyness of life or, hey, I'm only going to be here for a couple of years, used as kind of a reason not to plug in to the local church. And clearly, from what you've described, that was not the case.
Yeah.
You know, I've heard it, and I'm part of the Big C church, so why do I need to be in a local church, especially if I'm gone a year?
Yeah.
Why did you choose to do that, or how would you respond to someone that says that?
Yeah. So I can both speak from experience and then theological conviction. So the first one being experience is I needed that. I changed around, I switched around a lot, and I just needed that market consistency. I wanted community. I was new to the faith and needed to be surrounded by people who would help me grow. And I have a lot of love for my college baseball teammates, but college athletics is not the place to grow in your faith. That is a different, even in a Christian school, that is a different environment. So I needed that, and I love that. And then theologically, I mean, I'd say beginning with the fact that we are commanded to. I believe it to be biblical command that we are not to forsake the assembly of God's people. That the Lord's day belongs to the Lord, and you know, that is the place that we are shepherded, that we are fed. That the institution and the structure of the church is a good thing. That we need authority in our life. That we need mentors. We need people to disciple us. And like, you know, the kind of the picture we see throughout all of Scripture is that if we are sheep without a shepherd, we are going to be lost. And like I said, the Christian life is not meant to be lived alone. So there's so much to gain from being in the church and being a part of that, even if it's for a short period of time. And it's just such a wonderful blessing. But you know, at the very face value, God said so, and that's enough. So, yeah. Yes, sir.
Going back to one of the questions they had on here, as far as who the spiritual lamp for you would be, I could see somebody in a biblical character that I could see you being as, and I'm just curious if you might hit that same point. Who do you see as your role model, biblical role model that you're in?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Maybe not for the right reasons. I'd say Peter. The reason I say not for the right reasons is I think of Peter being a quick to jump the gun type of guy, and I think I can definitely have the tendency to dive into some things too quickly. But you know, Peter does it out of zeal for the Lord at the same time. So it's not he's reckless, but it's driven by a good intention and good motive, and I can see myself in that a little bit. So what?
More Timothy, because being young and stuff like that, you're going out somewhere and having mentors like you know, Paul.
Yeah.
To encourage you, like, don't let people look down on you because you're youth. But God has equipped you with what you need to go out there with.
That's good. Thank you.
Good. Another last one here. We'll take that.
Well, I was a pitcher, so I don't bat. No, I just pitched. I gave out the golden sombreros.
Good. Well, thank you, Sam. Appreciate it.